She was the kind of teacher every parent prayed for. Patient, kind, devoted. For years, Emily Harper was a pillar of trust, until the night a single phone call shattered everything. When detectives uncovered the truth about her past, they realized they hadn't been protecting their children from danger. They'd been sending them straight into it, to the world. Emily Harper was everything a teacher should be. 36 years old, passionate, devoted, and deeply loved by her students. She stayed late to tutor struggling kids. She volunteered at the food drive. She even helped organize fundraisers for families in need. Parents called her an angel in the classroom. But angels can have shadows too. No one in Cedar Ridge Elementary could have guessed that behind Emily's calm, patient demeanor, she was living a double life, one that was about to come crashing down. Hit like and the subscribe button as we take a deep dive into this crime scene. It all began with something small. A new teacher's aide, Rachel, was helping Emily file old records when she noticed something odd. In one of the folders, Emily's background check form was missing half the information. The section listing her previous employment and references was blank. Rachel thought it was strange, but dismissed it. Maybe an error, maybe old paperwork. Until one evening, she overheard Emily on the phone, her voice low, panicked. "You can't call me here again. I told you, I'm not that person anymore." The next morning, Emily acted normal, smiling, teaching, laughing. But Rachel couldn't forget that tone, fear mixed with guilt. So she told the principal. And what started as a simple inquiry quickly spiraled into something no one could have imagined. When the school district ran a routine audit, they found something disturbing. Emily Harper didn't exist before 2016. No records, no transcripts, no verifiable employment. The name was clean, too clean. They contacted the state's education board. The license she used was valid, but stolen. The real Emily Harper had died 6 years earlier in another state. So, who was the woman teaching her children? Police launched a full investigation. They traced fingerprints from school forms and matched them to a woman named Megan Rowe, a name tied to a criminal case from over a decade ago, one that involved child neglect, fraud, and identity theft. Megan Rowe had disappeared after being released on parole. Now, under the name Emily Harper, she had built a new life, a life of trust, respect, and admiration, all built on a lie. But as detectives dug deeper, they found something worse. A sealed case file from 2009 involving a missing child. A child last seen in Megan Rowe's care. The police kept quiet at first, hoping to gather evidence. But in a small town, secrets spread fast. Rumors began to swirl. Parents pulled their children from her class. And Emily, or Megan, started to panic. She stopped coming to work. Her house stayed dark. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Until one Friday morning, a maintenance worker found her car parked behind the school. Inside, her purse, her ID, her keys. But no sign of her. And in the trunk, a single item that would shock investigators. A small stuffed bunny, old, worn, and stained. The same toy from the 2009 missing child case. The discovery changed everything. For years, the town had seen her as a hero, a role model. Now, she was a prime suspect in a cold case they never even knew existed. Detectives reopened the investigation. They followed new leads. An old storage unit rented under her real name. Inside, they found boxes of journals, photos, and documents linking her to multiple aliases. But one box stood out, labeled simply April. Inside, a birth certificate, a lock of hair, and a photo of a little girl, smiling. The missing child. What they discovered next shattered every assumption. DNA testing revealed the child was Megan's own daughter. She hadn't kidnapped someone else's child. She'd hidden her own. The original case from 2009 claimed Megan's daughter, April, had died in a house fire. But there was no death certificate, no remains. Megan had faked the tragedy and vanished. The question now was, why? What drove her to erase her identity and live a lie for over a decade? The town learned a hard truth. Evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it wears a gentle smile and teaches your children to read. Trust is fragile, and when built on lies, it can shatter a community overnight. Still, there was one question left unanswered. Where was April now? Was she alive? And if so, what was Megan hiding her from? Days later, a call came into the local police station. A woman's voice, trembling, whispering, "My name isn't April anymore, but I know who you're looking for." The line went dead. Authorities traced the call to a motel 2 towns over. When they arrived, the room was empty, but on the nightstand, they found a note written in shaky handwriting. "She's not the monster you think she is." And taped to the note, a faded photo of a little girl holding her mother's hand. The investigation had just taken a shocking new turn, because now it wasn't just about uncovering a dark past. It was about finding out the truth before it was too late. Detectives began searching the motel room inch by inch. They found signs someone had left in a hurry, a half-drunk cup of coffee, a discarded toothbrush, and a duffel bag containing children's clothes, all in small sizes, but no sign of anyone living there. The motel clerk confirmed a young woman, early 20s, had checked in under the name Sarah Jensen, paid in cash, no ID, and left moments before police arrived. The description was hauntingly familiar: light brown hair, green eyes, the same features from April Rowe's childhood photos. Could Sarah Jensen actually be April, the daughter Megan supposedly lost? Investigators dug deeper into Megan's past. They uncovered sealed court documents from 2009, revealing disturbing details. Back then, Megan was in a toxic relationship with Caleb Turner, a man with a violent record, assault, stalking, and suspected drug trafficking. Friends claimed Caleb was possessive and controlling. On the night of the so-called house fire, neighbors reported hearing shouting before the blaze began. No body was ever recovered, but Caleb disappeared the same night. Megan hadn't killed her daughter. She'd faked the fire to escape an abusive man and start over. But if April was alive, why hide? Why stay silent all these years? To confirm their theory, police tested DNA from a toothbrush found in the motel. The results came back 3 days later. Match confirmed. Sarah Jensen was indeed April Rowe, but that victory brought more questions than answers. If April was alive, why call the police now? Why say her mother wasn't a monster? And most importantly, where was Megan? Detectives expanded the search radius, tracking every rental property, storage unit, and bank record tied to Megan's aliases. Then a hit, a rental cabin just outside Cedar Falls, paid for under another false name. Surveillance footage showed a woman, matching Megan's description, entering with groceries. 2 weeks ago, no one had seen her since. When officers entered the cabin, they expected to find Megan in hiding. Instead, they found something far worse. Inside, the air was stale, the curtains drawn tight. The table was covered with scattered letters, unsent, addressed to April. Each one told a story. A mother's guilt, her fear of being found, her desperate hope that her daughter was safe. In the corner, detectives discovered a locked metal box. Inside, stacks of newspaper clippings about unsolved cases, missing women, and one name that appeared again and again: Caleb Turner. It seemed Megan had spent years tracking him down, as if she believed he was still alive. And then came the biggest shock of all, pinned to the wall. A recent photo of Caleb, dated just 3 months ago, taken by a security camera less than 50 miles away. The man everyone thought died in the fire was back. For years, police in the town believed Megan was a villain, a liar, a fugitive, a fraud. But now it seemed she was the victim, a woman who'd faked her death to escape a monster and lived in fear for over a decade. And her daughter? She'd grown up in the shadows, always one step ahead, watching, waiting. Until now, when she finally reached out. But the timing was suspicious. Why now? What had changed? That's when detectives received another lead. A credit card charge at a gas station in Riverside County. The name, Sarah Jensen. The purchase, a burner phone and a single bus ticket. Destination, Hollow Creek. The same town where Caleb Turner was last seen. Detectives rushed to Hollow Creek. But before they could act, a local 911 call came in. A witness reported seeing a woman and an older man arguing outside a motel. Moments later, a scream, then silence. When police arrived, the area was empty, except for one thing left behind in the dirt, a small bracelet engraved with the name April, and nearby, a blood-stained note. In shaky handwriting, it read, "He found us." The town of Cedar Ridge, once certain of Megan's guilt, now faced a haunting reality. They had misjudged her. She wasn't hiding from justice. She was hiding from a nightmare, and the truth they'd been chasing might just cost 2 lives. Because now, Megan and her daughter weren't just fugitives. They were targets. The case took a shocking turn when surveillance cameras from a roadside diner caught new footage. A woman resembling Megan, sitting alone at a booth, her hands shaking, her eyes scanning the door, and across the street, a man in a dark jacket, watching her. Detectives froze the frame, zoomed in on his face. It was Caleb Turner, very much alive, and closer than anyone realized. The question now, would Megan and April survive long enough to tell their side of the story? Or would the truth die with them? It was just after midnight when officers arrived at the Hollow Creek Motel. The building was silent, except for the faint hum of a flickering neon sign. The front desk clerk said a woman matching Megan's description had checked in 2 days earlier, room 13. But tonight, there had been screams. The door was slightly ajar. Inside, chaos. Furniture overturned, blood spattered across the wall, and on the floor, a phone, its screen cracked. Still recording. Detectives pressed play. The video showed a woman's trembling hand, the sound of her breath quick and shallow. And then a whisper, "He found us," followed by a crash, and silence. But in the corner of the video, just before it cut out, a reflection in the mirror, a man's face. Cold, familiar. Caleb. 2 miles from the motel, police discovered an abandoned farmhouse. Inside, they found signs of recent activity, muddy footprints, extinguished candles, and a single trail of blood leading down a narrow staircase. At the bottom, a locked door. Officers forced it open. What they found was something out of a nightmare. A small windowless room. The walls covered in photographs, Megan and April, smiling in old pictures. Some torn, others burned at the edges. And in the center of the room, a chair, ropes cut clean, and a single note pinned to the seat. "You took everything from me. Now you'll understand." Beneath the note, a wedding ring, engraved with Megan's name. But Megan was nowhere to be found. In a nearby drawer, investigators discovered an old cassette recorder. When they pressed play, the room filled with static, then a voice. Caleb's voice. "They think I'm gone, but I've been watching. She thought she could take my daughter. She thought she could erase me. But you can't bury the truth." Then, faintly in the background, a woman sobs. Megan's voice pleading. "Please, Caleb, she's innocent. Let her go." A door slammed. Footsteps. And then a scream so raw it made the detective's skin crawl. Then silence. At dawn, a local farmer reported a strange noise in the woods, a woman crying for help. Police rushed to the scene. There, beneath a collapsed shed, they found April bruised, shaking but alive. She whispered only one thing. "He took her back to the fire." The words made no sense until detectives pulled old records. The site of the original house fire from 2009 was less than 5 miles away. They sped there immediately. The old row home was nothing more than a blackened skeleton of wood and stone. But in the rubble, fresh tire tracks. A single lantern flickering inside. Officers advanced slowly, weapons drawn. Inside, the smell of gasoline hung in the air. And in the center of the burned-out room stood Caleb Turner, holding a match. And beside him, Megan, bound, bleeding, and silent. Caleb's eyes burned with fury. "You lied to everyone. You lied to her. You lied to me. Now we start over, the way it was supposed to be." Before police could react, he struck the match. The room erupted in flames. Officers dragged April back as the house ignited. They fought to break through the burning beams, the heat unbearable. From within the inferno, screams echoed, Megan's voice crying her daughter's name. Then, a deafening crack as the roof collapsed. By the time firefighters contained the blaze, nothing was left but smoke and silence. No bodies were recovered, only a melted wedding ring and a charred photograph, Megan and April, smiling. Forensics confirmed traces of blood matching both Megan and Caleb, but no remains. It was as if the fire had swallowed them whole. In the weeks that followed, Hollow Creek became a town haunted by whispers. Some claimed to see a woman standing near the ashes at night, her clothes torn, her face streaked with soot. Others said they heard a lullaby carried through the wind. April was placed under protection, but even she confessed she still heard her mother's voice in her dreams, calling her name, begging her to run. And on the anniversary of the fire, police received a single envelope, no return address. Inside, a photo of April as a child, and written on the back, "She's safe now." The handwriting was Megan's. In the end, the truth was as twisted as the flames that consumed it. A woman condemned as a liar became a mother who sacrificed everything to protect her child, and a man who refused to die vanished into the darkness once more. Some truths can't be buried. Some ghosts never rest. And in Hollow Creek, the echoes of that night still linger, in the smoke, the silence, and the shadows. Because sometimes, the real horror isn't what we see. It's what we never truly understand. To this day, the case remains unsolved. No trace of Megan or Caleb was ever found, and the ashes of the house are now overgrown with weeds. But locals swear if you stand there long enough, you can still smell the smoke and hear the whisper of a woman's voice saying, "I told you, I'm not the monster." Candle, some secrets don't die. They just burn forever. Ensure you hit like and the subscribe buttons. Click the notification bell to not miss out on any of our content. And we'll see you next time on the Crime Scene Stories.